what makes something a non-negotiable and a negotiable? What makes something, in terms of, choosing a spouse, what makes something you don't have this thing right now, so I'm not even going to go there, versus I can see that you have the potential for this. Because one of my lines is, please don't marry potential. I say this all the time when people come. I'm like, babe, don't marry potential. Marry what you can see now. Don't, because anything can change in the future. But but it's a subtle balance. So I wanna hear, Sister Zara, your thoughts on that, and then Brother James, your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, yes, when we got married, James was a broke graduate student. And so here's the difference between potential and what you can see. So the reason why I wasn't basing it on his future earning potential, and I wasn't daunted by his lack of funds at the moment, was because of what I could see him doing in the present, that I saw him in the present hustling, right? Hustling, that I heard him talking about his ambitions and his goals, that I saw him reading the books and following the people and keeping up with the things that were indicators of like, this is where his mind is at and this is where he's trying to go, as opposed to seeing someone, maybe broke or whatever and complaining, oh, I can never have this. I didn't come from that type of family. Well, things are so hard. What are like that? You can see where their mind is at. So I could see that his mind was focused on success, focused on creating, focused on achievement, focused on contribution, focused on giving. I mean, we got an argument, this is after we married, but we got an argument like that he was donating too much, because it's like, you're being so generous that like, we are like left stranded, but you could see what he was doing in the present. So that's the way that you want to distinguish potential versus like wishful thinking of potential versus actual like movement towards a desired future. Because I don't even want to use those words, because yes, what we talk about, don't marry for potential, like, well, it's possible that, anything's possible. It's possible that anyone could, find a bag of $1 million. Yes, that's all possible. But what do you see conscious action being directed towards, and the mental and the spiritual and the thoughtful way that they are talking about what they're trying to get? And that is what I saw that was like made kind of the issue of lack of funds a non-issue for me, for us, for my parents.
I'm going to pull out that quote and put it on a poster for you. What do you see conscious action being directed towards? I think that's such a powerful inquiry point, such a powerful inquiry point. And it helps to like mask the facade. It helps to mask what you're saying. What are you doing? What are you doing? Is very different from what you're saying. So yeah, I love that. I love that.
Exactly.
Brother James, do you have any like thoughts on that particular point and any distinctions? Especially from a male's perspective, because a lot of the time you'll find the brothers saying that, the sister says, oh, she's not going to marry me because I don't have the job or the car or the this or the that. So I'd love to hear your perspective.
Already know that you did a good job. If a guy says the sister didn't marry me because I didn't have a car, didn't have a job, I didn't have this, that sister dodged a bullet. And so we have, and so we have an entire section for Muslim men in the book. If only women are listening to this call, please read it, because it's going to give you a lot of insight into how collectively Muslim men think and are taught in the Islamic schools, indirectly in the khutbahs, indirectly in the hanging out with the guys at the mosque. But I will just generalize Zahra's statement just a little bit more, is this: is the person owning who they are, or are they a victim of circumstance? If everything, they're a victim of circumstance, that's what they're going to bring upon you, right? In my case, I own, like right away, I was like, here is my pay stub. I make $21,000 a year. But also I owned other things. I was like, but I have zero debt. I might be richer than lots of people who make money because I owe nothing to nobody. Even to this day, I could not buy a car because I rarely ever use any credit till this day. And so I was like, there is a price of freedom in not owing anybody anything, right? And when her dad started talking about the dowry, the mahr, I was like, Uncle, let's not even go there. Like, I got I'll take care of your daughter. Nobody, there'll be no credit collectors. But I was like, I have no fixed amount of money right now. I did my Hajj already. I am debt free in that sense. I did everything on my own. And so for me, I owned who I was when it came to my finances, to my rawness around Islam, to many things. I didn't use it as an excuse. I could have used it. Zahra knows my personal story, and I took her to Algeria for a honeymoon because I had no money. I was like, we have to go to my family in Algeria. We honeymoon and you get to meet my family. Two birds with one stone. And I mean, they lived worse than I did in America, of course. And so I just owned it. And I could have, and this is from Allah, I could have fallen back to blaming circumstance, but I didn't. And I think that's the main thing. If people are really active agents in their story, whether it's good or bad, right? Seemingly good or bad. So, I could be like, yes, I am successful because I work hard. Most people would like to take credit for that, but I could also be an active agent in my lack of funds, right? Like, hey, I made this choice. I could have gone and worked, but I went to grad school. I made this choice. I put myself in this position. I own up to it. Here is where I'm going. Right? And so I think that's the main thing. And men tend to default to the victim sort of narrative more than women. So it's something for women on the call to pay attention to. Is he owning up to both the wins and the losses? Kendrick Lamar has that line in that Black Panther song where he says that I'll take winning or losing, I'll take credit, right? And I think that's a good characteristic to pay attention to. But what I would say about potential is Khadija radiallahu anha and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muhammad had tremendous potential, and he had a lot of what Zahra is saying, of doing in the moment. He wasn't rich, but he was a very successful trader. And that's why she hired him in the first place. So you are effective in you built a craft, right? Anybody who has a craft, you already know they're onto something. He built a craft of business. And Khadija was known as the businesswoman. So that's there already. But then she also asked about his character from her servants who traveled with him, right? And so he had the potential. He was the rising star of Quraysh. Sooner or later, he was going to be the head of his tribe, right? So that's there, right? No, but so were many, many other men. In fact, he walked away from that path. That potential went away once he became a prophet. But then he also had the character, things that he demonstrated right now. The reason why she paid attention to him is that he had his craft. So you're paying attention to the brother. You can't pay everything about smoke and mirrors. Like, you have to pay attention to him for some reason besides him being a male and you're looking for a male to marry. He's got to have something going for him right now in the present. And then you look at, and that's where the book comes into play. How are you navigating life together in this short bubble of courtship? And he was honest. He was honorable. He did not mistreat the servants. All of these things, same thing. Is he speaking to you with respect when he answers the question? Is he dismissing your answers? Is he only focusing on what he wants and not you? As you go through these questions that help you break a lot of the awkwardness around having important conversations, you pay attention to that. Now you got a fuller picture. And it's like a grade, right? You don't want to put, like you mentioned, 100% of the grade in future potential. I mean, that's delusion. That's not really, that's wishful thinking.